You don't need to have it all together to move forward. Let that sentence breathe in your chest for a moment. Because maybe, just maybe, that's the truth you've been needing to hear. Not from a book, not from a stranger online, but deep inside yourself. What if the pressure to be ready is the very thing holding you back? They told you to wait until you had more clarity, more confidence, more control. But here you are, still waiting, still doubting, still pretending. And life keeps moving. It doesn't wait for perfect plans or perfectly healed hearts. Let's be honest. Some mornings you wake up feeling like a fraud. Like you've built a version of yourself that looks okay from the outside, but inside, it's chaos. There are unanswered questions, unresolved pain, and fears you don't even know how to name. And somehow, you still get up, still go, still try. That's not failure. That's courage. No one tells you how exhausting it is to carry the pressure of becoming whole before allowing yourself to live. To feel like your mess disqualifies you from starting again. Like you're not worthy of a new chapter until your old one is perfectly closed. But the truth is, some stories are messy forever. And that's okay. You don't have to be healed to begin healing. You don't have to be fearless to take a step. You don't have to be sure of the outcome to move toward it. You just need to stop waiting for a version of yourself that may never exist. Because the one you are right now is capable of more than you believe. Here's a question most people never ask themselves. Who told me I needed to be complete before I was allowed to continue? Because you weren't born with that belief. It was planted by expectations, by disappointments, by comparisons, and maybe even by your own voice after too many failures. You weren't meant to carry that weight. You weren't meant to freeze your life until it looked like someone else's timeline. You were meant to grow in motion, like a river that bends, breaks, and still flows forward. If you're waiting for peace to come before you act, you might be waiting forever. Sometimes peace shows up after the decision, not before it. Sometimes clarity comes while walking through the fog. Sometimes the only way out is forward. And no, moving forward doesn't mean rushing. It doesn't mean faking. It means choosing one honest, tiny, trembling step. Even if your hands are shaking and your heart is unsure. It means accepting that this moment, as it is, with your unfinished healing, your unanswered questions, and your scattered pieces, is still sacred, still worthy, still powerful. Think of a seed. It doesn't wait to be a tree before breaking the soil. It just pushes. It grows while buried, while unseen, while fragile. And so do you. If you only move when you're confident, you'll miss all the growth that lives in confusion. If you only act when you're perfect, you'll never act at all. And if you only believe in yourself when you're whole, you'll never meet the parts of you that thrive in the breaking. The truth is, the person you are becoming is shaped not in the victories, but in the moments you choose to keep going without all the answers. And you, right now, are in one of those moments. The world may not see it. People around you may not notice. But your quiet courage matters. That step you're taking, it counts. Even if it's small, even if it's late, even if you're tired, and if you're thinking, but I'm not ready. Let me gently ask, ready for what? Because life doesn't ask for your readiness. It asks for your willingness. Are you willing to begin anyway? Here's the thing about being ready. It's often just fear wearing a nicer outfit. We say, I'm not ready yet. But what we often mean is, I'm scared I'll fail. I'm scared I'll look foolish. I'm scared it'll hurt again. And that fear, it's not proof that you're broken. It's proof that you care. Only people who long for something more feel fear so deeply. You fear because there's something in you still alive, still reaching, even while unsure. But fear can't be the driver anymore. Let it ride in the back seat. Let it whisper its worries, but don't hand it the map. Because if you wait for fear to go quiet, you'll stay exactly where you are. You don't need to silence your fear. You just need to stop making it your compass. Some people spend years convincing themselves they'll begin when the time feels right. But life doesn't care about your calendar. Opportunity doesn't knock politely. It often slips through the cracks, disguised as discomfort. And healing? Healing comes when you move, not when you overthink. Here's what no one tells you. Your growth isn't delayed because you're flawed. It's waiting for your permission, not for you to fix everything, not to rebuild yourself from scratch, just to stop holding yourself hostage to an unrealistic version of who you should be by now. Let go of the shame. That voice that says, you should have figured this out by now. You shouldn't be struggling with this anymore. You're too old, too late, too messy. No, You are exactly where a million silent others have stood, wondering if their brokenness disqualifies them from hope. It doesn't. Imagine this. You walk into a room full of people. Each one smiles, looks composed, says all the right things. But what you don't see is the chaos behind their smiles. The questions they carry, the nights they couldn't sleep, the moments they almost gave up. We're all just hiding our battles differently. So why compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel? You move forward, not by pretending to be them, but by honoring what it means to be you right now. Unfinished, confused, tired, but still choosing to show up. Let's be honest again. You don't need another motivational quote to change your life. You don't need a 5-step morning routine or a color-coded planner. You need a moment of honesty. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm not giving up. That's enough. That's a seed. That's movement. And maybe movement is all you need today. Not a massive transformation. Not a brand new version of yourself. Just one choice that honors who you're becoming, not who you pretend to be. Maybe it's sending that message you've been afraid to send. Saying no where you used to say yes, just to keep the peace. Taking a shower, going for a walk, eating something nourishing. Opening your journal and writing the truth you've been avoiding. Small doesn't mean insignificant. Quiet doesn't mean weak. And broken doesn't mean unusable. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a person to be loved, guided, and slowly unfolded. There is no deadline for your healing. No expiration date on your potential. No perfect version of yourself that holds the keys to your future. Because the keys were never missing, just buried under layers of shame and pressure. Peel that back, bit by bit, word by word, step by step. You don't need to be better to matter. You don't need to perform to be valuable. And you sure as hell don't need to be fearless to start again. What you do need is honesty. What you do need is softness toward yourself. What you do need is to release the illusion that everyone else has it together. They don't. No one does. Some are just better at faking it. And you? You don't need to fake anything. You just need to begin anyway. So what does it actually look like to move forward when you don't feel ready? It looks like waking up and choosing not to let shame decide your day. It looks like making space for both your confusion and your courage. It looks like saying, this is hard, and I'm doing it anyway. Progress, real progress, isn't glamorous. It's showing up to your life in the in-between. It's choosing presence over perfection. It's the quiet rebellion of not giving up on yourself, even when nothing around you seems to be changing. You may not feel strong right now. You may feel like you're barely holding yourself together. But sometimes, holding yourself through the storm is the strongest thing a person can do. Not running, not pretending, just being here with yourself and not abandoning your own side. You don't need to be a warrior every day. You don't need to wake up inspired or hyperproductive. You just need to be honest enough to admit where you are, and brave enough to take one tiny, human step from there. Let me ask you this. What would change if, instead of judging where you are, you decided to honor it? What if this version of you, tired, uncertain, healing, is not a delay, but the foundation of your becoming? Maybe all this time, you thought the goal was to arrive somewhere. Some final version of you that's always calm, always sure, always smiling. But maybe the goal is to stay with yourself, to stay in the process, to stay when it's boring, when it's painful, when it doesn't make sense. Because that's where becoming happens. That's where real growth unfolds, not in grand moments, but in the daily decision to not abandon who you are while you're becoming who you were meant to be. There is nothing wrong with needing rest. Nothing wrong with going slow. Nothing wrong with being messy while still moving forward. Think about the people you admire, not their success, but their resilience. The way they kept showing up. The way they admitted when it was hard. The way they kept going, even when nothing made sense. That's not a performance. That's a process. And you're in it too. You are allowed to move forward with a trembling heart. You are allowed to take a step without knowing the whole path. You are allowed to be in progress forever. Because life is not a destination to reach. It's a relationship to nurture with yourself. And right now, that relationship might feel strained. You might be frustrated with your pace. But underneath it all, there's a part of you still trying, still showing up, still believing that maybe, just maybe, there's something on the other side of all this. There is. It's not some perfect version of you. It's not applause or achievement or control. It's peace. Not the loud kind, but the quiet one. The kind that comes when you realize you don't need to have it all together to be okay. You're already worthy. You're already becoming. You're already enough. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you're healed, or confident, or fearless. Begin now as you are. Messy, honest, brave. Take the step, and let the healing catch up to you on the way.